Usually we hear that God helps those who help themselves, which is true. Usually we have to take the first step before God sends help. But sometimes we are stuck in a situation where we cannot even take the first step. And then there is no way out other than handing yourself over to God. Doing tafweed. Tafweed is a step further than tawakkul. In tawakkul, you still do some things. You take the first step. But in tafweed, you absolutely submit yourself to God. Hand yourself over to God. Because there is no way out. You cannot even take the first step. You cannot do anything. And there was a man who was in such a situation. Prophet Yunus, peace be upon him. He was in the belly of a fish. What could he do there? Nothing. In the darkness of the belly of a fish that was under the surface of the sea, darkness upon darkness. Al-Ghulumat. And then what did he do? He resorted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He put his trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu min al-zalimin. The first step to be able to see light in times of darkness, to be able to get out of the darknesses, is to speak to God directly and say, La ilaha illa anta. You see, sometimes we say, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illahu, speaking about God in third person singular terms. There is no God other than Allah. There is no God other than Him. But the next level is when you speak to God directly in second person. La ilaha illa anta. There is no ilah. There is no one worthy to be worshipped other than you. And when we say there is no one worthy to be worshipped other than you, there should be no ilah in our life other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The things in our life that we are living for, if our whole existence, if our whole life is about something other than God, that becomes our ilah. The first step towards light is to reject all gods we have created. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. Have you seen the man who has taken his hawa, his desires, as his ilah? If your whole existence and all your efforts are all about following your own desires, then that has become your ilah. If your efforts are all about accumulating wealth, your career, that becomes your ilah. While these things are only means to an end, they are not the end. Whatever becomes the end, whatever becomes the destination in itself other than God, that becomes your ilah. Everything that we do has to be about God. Inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alameen. Indeed, my prayers, my worship, my life, my death is for Rabbul Alameen. If it is about other things, then we are definitely going to end up in darknesses. Because those things become so important that when we cannot achieve them, then we start to have anxieties and worries. And we start to have those thoughts that keep us awake at night. Second step, Subhanaka. Say to God, you are the perfect being. Subhanaka means you are exalted, you are free of all imperfections. You are free of all imperfections. You do not lie, but you cannot lie. You do not commit injustice. You cannot commit injustice. You do not break your promises because you cannot break your promises. Because the perfect being cannot lie. The perfect being cannot be unjust. The perfect being cannot unjustly take something away from you because He is the master of everything. He is the owner of everything. The second step is to recognize that God is not unjust. God does not lie. God does not break His promises. And then the third step, إِنِّي كُنْتُ مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. Indeed, I have been unjust. I am the one who have been unjust. I have been the one who has complained. I am the one who has been saying that this should not have happened to me, or this should have happened, as if my plan is better than the plan of God. These are the three steps, my brothers and sisters. La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu min al-zalimin. And Urafa lay a lot of emphasis on this dua. They say that everyone who finds himself or herself in darknesses, surrounded by darknesses, having a negative outlook towards life, they should recite the dhikru Yunusiyah. But how many times? Sometimes people recite this dhikr for 100,000 times. Some people recite it for 1,000 times. How many times you think is sufficient? Here I would like to tell you something that Ayatullah al-Ulama Ustad Jawadi Amoli says. If someone has faith like the faith of Prophet Yunus, reciting this dua only once is sufficient to get out of the darknesses.